Good morning, everybody. We are moving on today. We are moving on to a new position of evaluation. And in my opinion, this is the last position that you can argue the Seahawks have a need in. Like, there are other positions where we can get better, of course, but to me, this is the last position where you can make a clear and obvious argument that the team needs to get a little bit better if they want to accomplish what they hope to accomplish in 2023. And that position is cornerback, specifically outside cornerback. Outside cornerback, we are doing pretty good at the top, but it pretty quickly levels out and leaves us in a little bit of an awkward situation. Now, the good news is Pete Carroll has proven time and time again that he can make things work without investing big time capital. But there will probably need to be an investment of a little bit of capital. Now, granted, it depends on your perspective. If you look at things right now, you've got Tariq Woolen starting at one cornerback spot. You got Mike Jackson starting at the other. Obviously, Woolen's awesome. Woolen had an awesome rookie year. He's only going to get better. Great. That one's locked down. I think Jackson played okay last year. Nothing amazing. But given the fact that we didn't have a consistent pass rush, I thought Michael Jackson did his job last year at right corner. I got no problem with him continuing to start. And then you got Trey Brown, who took a year off last year, gets back this season, healthy, ready to go. He showed promise that short period of time he was available in 2021. So I'm definitely interested to see if Trey Brown can be part of the mix here. But after that, you've got guys who should not make the roster. So you've got three outside corners. Now, let's say somebody got hurt or multiple people's got hurt and you needed other players. What would probably happen is you would tap your slot cornerback room because Julian Love, who is currently my starting slot corner, is somebody who has played outside corner before, and Kobe Bryant, who is our starting nickel from last year, is probably going to be better as an outside corner. But even saying that, Julian Love has played like 200 snaps at outside corner in his NFL career, 4 years. It's not his natural position at all. And Kobe Bryant, his arms might be a little too short to hold up outside. So these are not ideal options either. So I think we need to get a little bit better here. And besides, this is a really good draft class for cornerbacks overall. So with all that being said, let's start taking a look at some guys here. And we're going to start with a truly special project here. Christian Gonzalez of the Oregon Ducks. Now, let me reiterate this one more time. I'm pretty sure that Pete Carroll has proven that if there's anything he can do really well, it's find corners late in the draft, sometimes even beyond the draft, guys that everyone else devalued and dismissed and didn't think anything of, and turn them into good stuff. So we don't really need to spend a high pick on a cornerback, but I want to explore the possibility here. I want to explore the possibility of spending a top pick on a cornerback, giving Carroll access to a level of ability that he's never had at the position before. So I know that initially the comments on this video, we're probably going to have some people saying it's not really productive to talk about guys like Christian Gonzalez, who you know are going to go way too high in the draft. And you're probably right, but at the same time, you have to think about things in terms of building on your strengths. One of our strengths as a team right now is developing cornerbacks. What if you gave our cornerback developing system one of the best cornerback talents in recent memory, like a Christian Gonzalez? Because looking at this guy, having a chance to watch him play, having a chance to look at professional scout evaluations across the internet, having a chance to look at his highlights, his tape, having a chance to understand what Christian Gonzalez is about, this is borderline perfect as far as cornerback prospects go. There's not much you can say in the negative about him. He's got good height, 6'1", 32-inch arms, more than good enough. He ran a sub 4.40, 1.54 10-yard split. Jumped out of the building, 41.5-inch vert, 11-foot 1-inch broad. He is in the top 12 of every major big board for a reason, and ranked 6th overall on the aggregate for a reason. He is obviously bringing to bear his 2022 season, where he starred for the Oregon secondary. He gave you 12 games, 50 tackles, 4 interceptions, 7 passes defensed, and an 84 coverage rating from PFF about. Building heavily on his previous success at Colorado. Transferred to Oregon last year and immediately became a superstar. And I'm going to reiterate it again. There is so little negative you can say about Christian Gonzalez as a cornerback. The only argument against spending a top 10 pick on him is just the fact that he's a cornerback. So how married are you to your philosophy of not taking him? He's a fantastic athlete. Like, these combine scores speak for themselves. He's fast. He's not super quick. There are definitely guys out there with better acceleration, but he's very explosive. He's got good size. He's almost 200 pounds. Will probably be 200 pounds in the NFL. He's big enough to handle pretty much any receiver. Like, obviously, there are going to be the true freaks out there, like the 6'7" guys every now and then, but his size should not be any kind of a detriment. He's great in press. He's great when he gets to get his hands on the receiver and press. He can play really well in man. A lot of his positive highlights, a lot of his positive pieces of tape are when he's in man. There's this one really cool play against, I think, Oregon State where he gets completely turned around, but somehow stays with the receiver and makes a play on the ball for an interception when it gets thrown. And the quarterback threw it, I'm sure, thinking like, oh, his back is turned. He's not going to be able to stop this. And somehow he manages to find a way to make the play on the ball. And he's also proven to be very good in zone. So whatever kind of defense you're running, he'll be great. Quick reaction times. He sees the ball. He goes to make a play on the ball. He sees the receiver going into his break. He's moving on the break, trying to put himself in position to go make a play on the ball if it gets thrown. So he's got all that stuff locked down. He's an excellent tackler. Before 2022, he didn't have a lot of big track record of ball skills, but in 2022, with his 4 interceptions in 12 games, he showed he can make plays on the ball. He's a hard hitter as well, and he can hang with vertical routes. He can drive quickly on quick crossing routes. He can hang with pretty much any kind of route that a receiver cares to run. There's no route that you can say is like a weakness of his. Obviously, some are going to be better than others, but it's hard to find a weakness with this guy. The only things I could really find with him in terms of drawbacks would be before 2022, he hadn't shown that much in terms of like making plays on the ball and intercepting passes. 4 interceptions in 2022 is, but I mean, it's a good season, but he only has that 1 year where he proved that he can make plays on the ball and take the ball away. And he could probably, he's a little bit physically weak. That's the closest thing to a genuine flaw I can find with him. He needs to put on a little bit of muscle so he can hold up against the most physical receivers in the NFL. But he's as clean as it gets for a cornerback. And last year, there were a couple of cornerbacks who I would have been okay with taking at number 9. So this year, I'm going to say there is one cornerback that I'm okay with spending a number 5 pick on. And I'm not saying it's my favorite, but if a better option isn't there, this guy is worthy of the number 5 pick. All right, next up, we're going to look at the other top 10 cornerback prospect in the draft right now. It's Devon Witherspoon of Illinois. 22 years old, just shy of 6 feet tall, 181 pounds, so a little bit smaller than Christian Gonzalez. 21.25-inch arms, almost 9-inch hands. Most of the major big boards that I use have him in the top 10, and even the ones that don't have him in the top 16. TDN has him at 16, the Tankathon has him at 11, the aggregate has him at 8. So this is another top 10 prospect in all likelihood. I don't know if he goes top 10, but he has a really good chance. And if the Seahawks want him, you're probably going to have to spend a top 10 pick on him. Most recent season, he gave you 41 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 14 passes defense. So very, very good playmaker in terms of getting his hands on the ball. His PFF grade in coverage was stellar, 92.5. So you've got a guy who has phenomenal ball skills in Devon Witherspoon. That's, I think, the first thing that stands out here. Um, he hits really hard, which is impressive for a guy who's kind of small. He hits like a truck, 181 pounds, and he finds a way to bring the wood. He's really great in man coverage. He plays very physically, again, despite the fact that he's somewhat smaller. He's a great tackler. Again, these are things that are very important to look for when it comes to a guy like this. He's got short arms, and he's small, but he's still doing physical things out there. So you love to see that. That is going to make you feel a lot better about his chance to succeed in the NFL. He's aggressive at the point of catch to make a play on the ball. He's very good at making sure to get his hands up and contest at the point of catch. He's somewhat new to the position. I think he became a cornerback like his junior year of high school. So there's reason to believe he's going to get better as he continues to progress mentally and starts to develop more comfort at the position. So he will probably get better. He's also going to provide a lot of value on special teams. And when he's played zone at Illinois, the opportunities he's had to play zone, he's held up fairly well. I'm not going to say that he's going to be great in zone, and that's going to be one of my hangups here, but I do believe he's held up pretty well in zone so far, and there's reason to believe that he can do it. Now, emphasis on reason to believe, because there's also reason to believe the other way. I think this is a guy who will sometimes get tricked by savvier quarterbacks who will fool him with their eyes. As the smarter quarterbacks will look a certain way, get him to bite, and then go the other way. And Witherspoon needs to learn how to not fall for that stuff so much when he's in zone and spying in the backfield. So that's a big concern. I don't know if his aggression and physicality will work in the NFL when he's only 181 pounds. Like Christian Gonzalez, who we just looked at, has 15 to 20 pounds on this guy. So Devon Witherspoon trying to play super physically in the NFL, it may not work as well. That's possible. Some people think Devon Witherspoon will end up as a slot cornerback because he hasn't proven the ability to consistently win in press. When he's trying to play physically at the line of scrimmage, you get mixed results. Some people think that he'll end up not being able to succeed in press, and if that's the case, he'll probably end up in the slot. And slot cornerbacks are valuable, but I don't know if there's a team out there that would be willing to spend a top 10 pick on a slot corner. So that being the case, it's a little bit titchy to actually use the number 5 pick on him. So you put this all together, he's a good player. He is. But it just doesn't really make sense for the Seahawks. He's better in man than in zone. He's a little bit on the smaller side. He's got short arms. He may end up in the slot. Like, we could use a little bit of long-term security in the slot corner position, yeah, but not enough to spend the number 5 pick on it. I'm passing on this one. If he falls to 20, that's interesting. Because at 20, you can get him and feel like, okay, minimum we're getting a really phenomenal slot corner for the long term, and there's also a pretty good chance he'll end up being a really good outside corner as well, and the value there is really good because he was projected to be a top 10 pick. But I don't think he'll be there at 20, and I'm not taking him at 5. So the moral of the story is, I just don't think it makes sense. We're playing zone most of the time here. I don't know if I want a cornerback who is shown to be much better in man. So, again, it's not that I'm completely against spending a high pick on a cornerback. Although I think we've proven we don't need to. We have proven many, many times that it's not something we need to do. But it has to be the right kind of cornerback. And Christian Gonzalez is the right kind of cornerback. He is the right kind of cornerback for pretty much anything. Like, the only real criticism of him was he needs to add muscle. And he's 21 years old. He's probably going to. Like, I'm not really worried about it. So, Witherspoon, I just don't see the fit. Good player, though. Probably going to be very successful in the NFL. It doesn't make anywhere near as much sense to me. All right, so those are the two guys who you would probably have to spend the number 5 pick on. Next video later today, we're going to look at 2 other first-round prospects who maybe, hopefully, could be there at 20. See you guys then. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think down below. And we're moving on.